The following episode of Dad vs. Daughter was made possible by a contribution from Amigo.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Dad vs. Daughter. I'm Tim the Dad.
I'm Megan the Daughter.
And today, Megan, what are we going to play?
We're going to play Carnival of Monsters. This is from Amigo.
Yeah, now, this is not a game where we're really at a carnival, like you think of Ferris wheels, what are those things we usually get with the powdered sugar on?
Funnel cakes?
Funnel cakes. Not that kind of carnival here.
No.
And the monsters are not really kind of the monsters that you're thinking of, like, Dracula, the Wolfman.
That's a different game.
Yeah, that's a different game. Check that out on our channel. This is a game where we are going to be drafting cards out of our hand. We're going to be passing those to other players. So we want to try to get monsters into our locations so we can score points. Because what we want to do is we want to be recognized by the Monstrological Society. See who can put together the best
menagerie.
The best menagerie. That's a good point. So check it out. The way we're going to start with setup is we have these cards, which you'll notice these have a different backing than what our normal cards do. So these are gray, those are black. These are the starting location cards, and we're each dealt 2 of those. The rest of these get put back in the box. So Megan, what lands are you starting with?
I have the cave and the airy lands.
And I am starting with the forest and the Ari.
Ari, yeah. Airy, Ari.
Yeah. And then we are also going to start with 4 trophies. Basically, these tell us every season what the Monstrological Society, what kind of monsters they want to see, because that's who we're trying to impress. We're trying to get into this society. So the game comes with 7. We are going to pick 4 because the game's played over 4 seasons, and the rest of these go back into the box. We are also going to start with 4 gold crowns, and that is the money in the game. And the game gives you just a ton of tokens. Mm-hmm. So in a 2-player game, we really don't need that many. So we've only put out a handful of those. We will each start with a hand of 8 cards. And what we're going to do is we're going to draft one. We're going to place it face down on our little book on our player board there. And then in a 2-player game, the variant is we have another deck of cards. We each have one. There's 7 cards in there. We're going to draw one of those cards, and then we're going to look at the hand, and then we're going to discard one. So that's kind of a way that the 2-player game can get more cards into the game and cycle cards through. If for any reason we cannot pay for things, we have to take loans. And we have 2 different kinds of loan cards. We have one that's, this one provides 3 gold or 3 crown. But it's worth negative 5 points at the end of the game. There's no way to pay it back. And then this is just basically takes the place of 3 of these, so it's worth negative 15 points. We have hunter tokens, and those are going to come into play when we have the dangerous monsters. And you'll also see we have 3 dice, and the dice have various faces on them. They have either a blank, they have 1, they have 2, and I think that's it. Max of 2. Mm-hmm. And that's basically the king is going to help us if we need additional hunters. And we'll talk about that. That's something that we're going to do once at the end of each season. So like I said, we're going to be playing the game over 4 seasons. We have a hand of 8 cards. When we are out of cards, then we are done with the season. So we were talking about the land cards. The reason why those are important is because those are going to house the monsters that we are, I don't want to say capturing, but we're collecting, and we're going to show those off. And I just want to show you based on a card that I've got here. This shows the size of the environment we have to have, and this just shows what environment it is. And so Megan's not going to really care that I'm going to tell her this, but this is a merfolk card, and it goes into the depths. Now, once we have collected this monster, at the end of the game, it's going to be worth this many victory points at the end. We also have special cards called staff cards, and these are going to be kind of a persistent card. Once we pay the cost for that staff, we hire that person, then they are going to be with us for the rest of the game. And as you can see, this is kind of a intrepid explorer, and he is going to act as like a wild for any land that we have. But he'll stay that way for the rest of the game. Another card that we have are end of game victory points or bonus cards, and those you still have to pay for. I noticed I didn't talk about that earlier. When you pick a card and you're going to place it here, if it's not a monster card that you can actually play right now, then you can put it in kind of your holding area. But you have to pay 1 crown in order to do that. The end of game victory cards, obviously you are not going to be playing those in front of you. You will have to pay for those. All right, so we are going to begin by flipping over what the first season is.
It is the Darklands season, so each player gains 2 crowns for the first time they play a Darklands monster.
So I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to have these cards. We're going to have 7 of these, but like I said, we're only going to pick 4 because we're going to play 4 seasons. So like Megan said, the first time that you play a Darklands creature, you're going to get 2 of the crowns. And then if you have the most victory points for whatever season we're in, then you're going to have you're going to get 3 victory points at the end. You get to keep this as a trophy. So we're going to be looking for Darkland cards in order to basically get some money.
I have an enchanted forest.
I'm going to hire this. Oops, extra. I'm going to hire this. He is an enchanted forest expert. He's going to cost me 3. And every time I play an enchanted forest monster, I get to gain 2 crowns. So
I have a Gazette. So wealthy sponsor, I gain 2 crowns and discard after use. So I don't want loans.
I'm going to keep that, and I have to pay to keep it. So I'm out of money now. I need monies.
I know what you kept.
Actually, oh, this is going to be bad. Actually, I'm going to do that.
I don't like your hand. The hand you have is not that good. Alright.
Okay.
I have a wormling.
I've got one of the Gazette cards. Gain 1 crown for each Darkland land point that I have in play. I don't have any, so I get nothing. But since I didn't have any money, I don't have to take a loan. This is where strategy can come into play.
Yeah.
And you can force people to take loans.
Happens.
Okay. I'm going to play a Dreamland down.
I'm paying 1 to keep my card.
Alright.
Paying another 1.
I'm going to play an airy monster.
Ooh.
A harpy.
Heartbeat.
It's a harpy.
Those will eat your eyeballs.
This is not good. Whoa. Alright, now
Yeah, that one was a big one.
I can't play this, and I don't have any money, so I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to have to take a loan.
Ooh.
So it's going to be worth negative points at the end of the game, and I get 2 monies back.
That sucks.
Yeah, don't want those loans. Oops. Now, I am playing a Dryad, which is a forest creature, and every time I play an enchanted forest monster, I gain 2 crowns. So I get some money. So if you pass me something that, like you did, that I have to keep,
Yeah.
I have to pay 1 money for that.
Good
It goes
thing
into my cap pot.
I got those because I had to keep that one too. I only got 1 crown left.
All right, now we're going to look and see what kind of dangerous monsters we have.
I don't have any.
I have 1, so I'm going to roll the king's dice.
He gives you 2.
2, so
protected.
I am protected. What did David Tennant say in his first episode? Tell them the earth is protected,
Yes.
something like that. All right, so now what we do is we are going to take any of the monsters we have in our lands, and we're going to place those in our menagerie. We will deal each other another 8 cards for our hand and another 7 cards for our 2-player variant. Oh, so nobody played any Darklands, so nobody is going to get that trophy. So what is our next season, Megan?
The next season is Dreamland. Each player gains 2 crowns for the first Dreamland monster they play.
I actually have a Dreamland
You
location.
I have a lot of cards here. I should probably see what I'm trying to go for.
Keep that.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to keep this card.
I have a Gazette.
Or actually, I'm not keeping this card. I have a Gazette, and it's going to give me a Hunter token.
That's what mine does too.
Aha.
Okay.
All right, I have one of these cards that has the lore icon, so I can play him, and then now I'm going to draw a card off the top, and because I have a location, I can just go ahead and play it for free. Or I could have kept it for free in my hold area there. No, I really don't like these cards.
Yeah, no, me either.
Oh, ooh. Let's go for that one. Okay. I'm holding this.
I have another forest, the Forgotten Temple.
I don't think I collected my 2 when I played that. From my,
Oh, I
Oh
don't
my
think
God,
you did
there.
either.
if I already did and viewers notice that, then yes, I cheated.
I have to take a loan. So I have no monies.
Oh, wait a minute, did I? Oh, I don't think I,
Moved it.
yeah, I didn't move that.
Mm.
I got too busy explaining stuff.
Oh, and you have that guy.
And just check, you should have 2 cards in there.
Yeah.
Okay, I am keeping that card.
Got me. Keep mine as well.
Oops. Okay, I am putting down the more depths.
Keep that one. Need another loan.
Paying
'Cause
that.
all these cards suck.
Paying for that.
I got gotta keep this too.
And I can actually play that one down.
I suck this game.
Okay, so we have any vicious, dangerous monsters?
I don't have anything.
Nobody has any of those, so we don't have to roll. And nobody has any Dreamland monsters.
Nope.
So nobody's gonna get that trophy either. All right, so take in, oh, you don't have any?
I don't have anything.
So I'm gonna put those in my
This
manager.
round sucked.
All right.
This season though is the Ari season, so each player gains 2 crowns the first time they play an Ari monster. Alright, so mine is Public Authority Guidance. Reveal any number of cards from your kept cards, not your menagerie, and gain a crown for each monster you reveal. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow, so you get 5 minis. I am playing.
Oh, I could have played this. I forgot last turn. That should have been played.
I'm playing a Cloudling, and since that is an Ari monster, my first Ari, I'm
Yep.
gonna get 2 crowns.
Nice.
Because I need the money.
Money helps. Ha. You ready?
No.
Okay.
All right, so I am playing a cave.
I have a Dark Lands, which means I can play my Night Troll.
Night Troll.
He only goes trolling at night.
Trolling at night. Anything I can play.
See, that's what I had to check. I was like, can I
I
play
am.
any
I'm
of
going to
these?
play from my kept. I'm going to play my Dryad, and because of my guy, it gets me 2 crowns.
Nice.
Going for that. You know, I'm going to keep that.
I have another cave,
I have another Ari. And
which means I
for
can
that,
play a
Dryad.
Batwolf.
Batwolf. No, Batwolf.
It's like a very interesting combination there. Okay.
Alright, I'm going to play another cave.
I have a Depth.
So I have- Alright, so I'm going to play this card from my kept area, this carnivorous fungus, and that's going to allow me to do the lore, and I got another enchanted forest, so
Yeah, okay.
keep that.
Okay.
I got a Darklands.
I have a amphibic spider, which looks creepy. Alright,
Okay,
I have another cave.
I have another depth.
Alright. I have a Kelpie.
I have another Darklands.
So what does that symbol mean again? The draw card?
That's the lore. You get to draw the top card there.
Cool. And you can play it,
If
right, if possible?
if possible, you can play.
Nice. I have the Darkland Mire of Death.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And that means then I can play my Great Fire Spreader too.
Fire spreader.
It's like
Wait a
a
minute.
Schmaug.
Oh yeah, yeah. 'Cause you can play all of them.
Yep.
So I'm going to play this Succubus. Now, it's a level 4 Dreamland monster, but what I can do is I can actually take one of those other lands. I'm just going to move the depths over there so I can show that I'm placing that there. And that has a lore. And because I can, I'm going to go ahead and play this Dybbuk. Dybbuk.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you gave me another cave. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And I have an enchanted forest, so I'm going to place that there.
Okay.
And can I play any other cards from my hand here? I cannot. All right, so we are going to look for dangerous monsters. I have one. I
I have 3.
All right, would you like to roll the dice?
Yes.
See what the king's
sure.
going to offer us?
No.
Hey, the king is pretty stingy.
I don't like this.
But I have a hunter token, so I
have
can pay
1.
that. So I'm covered.
So I have to pay 6.
So you get 2 that are not.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, I actually have 6 money.
And we're going to look and see who has the most victory points in Ari. I
Yeah.
have 3.
You do.
So I will get this as a trophy.
Take our monsters back into our menagerie.
Menagerie.
Alright. And our next season, last season, is the cave season. Each player gains 2 crowns for the first time they play a cave monster.
Last season. Oops, I want to move this back over there. Just in case. Gotta keep that one. All right.
Have a Wyvern?
I have a sea giant, and I think I can play. Yes, I can. I can play a tree walker, which I'm going to get 2 crowns because I
Nice.
played one of those guys. So that's nice. Ooh.
What?
Oh.
I have the guided tour of the Enchanted Forest. Gain a crown for each Enchanted Forest land point you have in play. So I have 3.
Yep. I have a Shadow Cat who has a lore of 1. Ooh, playing Dreamlands.
Nice. Okay. I have a wood troll.
I have another Enchanted Forest. Yeah, I'll keep that one.
Okay. I have a ghoul.
Ghoul. I
Ghoul.
have merfolk.
It's nice. Alright, I have some shade.
You throwing shade?
Throwing shade.
I got a dryad, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at 4 there, but I will get 2 crowns because of my dude.
Nice. I'm paying 1.
I am going to get 2 crowns for every staff card I have. I have 1 staff, so I'll get 2 crowns for that.
Okay, I have a Scrat. Scrat? I don't know. It's a wood creature.
I got another depths.
Nice. Alright, last one. Oh, I gotta pay it.
3, 4, so I can play. Let me see if I want to
Do I have anything else I can play? Nope.
have anything. So I'm going to play that, and then I'm also going to play this Dreamcatcher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lure on there.
It does. You play it?
Yeah, it's a hunter. I'm going to pay the 2.
How you got so much money?
I've been...
The heck?
Yeah, I got my guy there.
Ugh.
Oh, I didn't get that loan card back.
Huh. How many
Somebody
loans you
must
got,
do that.
though? You got less than me.
Oh, I didn't realize you had that many. All right,
That
so
one turn screwed me over.
I have 2 dangerous monsters.
I have 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You roll.
Yeah.
I rolled bad last time. Yay!
Oh, so 3.
Safe.
So everybody is safe.
Woohoo! So
All
many
right.
more loans. That might have been okay though.
Cave monster. I don't have any cave
Me
monsters.
either.
Wow, this was a bad game. 3 out of the 4 trophies
Honestly.
nobody claimed. All right, so
That's
go
it.
ahead and add your guys back to
Menagerie.
Menagerie. And any of the cards, any of the monster cards that you actually have in your kept, what I usually do is just discard those so that there is no
Confusion.
no confusion.
All right.
So what we'll do now is we will tally up our points. Then we'll talk about how we do the scoring when we come back. All right, so you can see Megan won 88 to 77. Now, we're going to walk through what these scores mean. So that first column, that is the victory points that we have on our monster cards. The next one is the
Secret loans.
Secret
goals.
loans. Secret goals,
Secret
yeah.
goals, not
And you can
loans.
see Megan killed it there, 21
didn't
points.
keep any.
I didn't keep any because you kept them all.
I had to that one round. That's all you kept giving me, so I had no choice.
Yeah, the next one is the amount of money we had left over. I had 9. The next one is hunter tokens. Neither one of us had any of those. You get 3 points for every of the trophies. I had 1, and the other 3 nobody got to claim.
Nope.
So then we tally those points up, and you can see that. And then we subtract for loans. Megan had 2 loans, so it was -5 apiece. So it was -10 total. I had 1 loan, so -5 total for me.
Yep.
So that's how we did the scoring. So now let's get to what we think. So I purposely did not show the top of the one we had because I didn't want to confuse it because we had already used the 2 spots on there. But you can see how the iconography is on those. So Megan, since you were the winner, I'm going to let you go first.
Alright, this is a pretty good game. It's pretty simple. You're just kind of picking the cards that you need, passing them, hoping the other player doesn't take something that you want to get the next time the cards come back to you, or hoping they don't discard it. Kind of trying to look at seeing what they're going for, so there's some strategy to it, even though it is kind of a fairly simple objective. I think the artwork is really cool on some of the cards, how each land is kind of distinctive. I know each land kind of has their own artist as well, so that kind of makes them stand apart. I don't know, I think this, like, the table, like, looking board is really cool. It's not really necessary to have all these spots for, like, all of your cards and everything, because it is pretty big. It's probably bigger than what you need, but it does look really cool, and even if you don't have, like, the money on there, it still shows, like, this is where the money pile is, and, like, your dice section here, just, like, it's kind of overkill, but I think it's kind of cool, just that over-the-top feeling of this, like, monster society that we're a part of.
Yeah, so like I said, the game comes with an abundance of money tokens and hunter tokens. You can see, it goes all the way up. It's got 10s and 20s, just like Sally Brown.
Maybe even 50s.
Yeah. How about 10s and 20s? But you can see there's just a
There's a
ton of those, and we never need that many, so we just leave them in the box.
Yeah, but overall, I think it's a really good game. It is pretty simple, so I would say it's probably an easier game to get some maybe non-gamers into, just because it's a basic concept with a little bit of strategy behind it. So, it's a decent game. I like it.
So if you followed our Facebook page, you'll know that I actually took this in and introduced it to my lunch group that we play games at lunch. And this stuck around for quite a while. Everybody really seemed to enjoy it. Now, you've only played this with 2 players.
Yes.
And so you saw the 2-player variant and how that works. I've played it with 3 and 4 at work, and I have to say that I like it with those higher player counts. For one, you do see more cards. that are kind of going through, and you're also, I think there's a little bit more strategy involved because you're not just playing against one other person, you're trying to also keep cards away from other players. So I think that adds a little bit more to it. While this two-player variant does add the ability to get more cards into play, I'm just not that wild about that experience. That being said, I really do like it at 3 and 4 players, especially at 4. You talked about the art. I picked out some of my favorites, and here is my absolute favorite, and I think I mentioned this in the unboxing. The Darklands seem like they have the art that I really like the most, but this one, the Stronghold of the Doomed, I just think is just really, really cool.
It is pretty cool.
And then I also have shown off the Sea Giant, so you can see a depth card that I just think looks really neat. And then the Dreamlands, we got the tentacles there.
Yeah,
that reminds me of Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror,
Yeah.
the whole Cthulhu thing. Yeah. And then there's another one of those Darkland cards I think is really cool, the Gates to the Abyss. Just really like that. Now, as far as the other things in the cards, I think the text on the cards sticks out, really good. Like you can see the season card here. The only quibble that I really have, is with the text that is on the secret gold cards, because these are kind of
like in penmanship.
Yeah, and sometimes these are a little difficult to make out exactly what they say.
The 1s and 7s kind of look similar on that type as well with that font.
And I realize that they show the pen there, so this is supposed to be like they did that. I kind of wish they didn't. I wish they would have been consistent with that. But that's really kind of a minor thing. The quality on the cards, I think, is really good. The dice are nice. The thickness of the cardboard is really cool. Everything else I really like about the game. I like having this board being round like this to make it look like a table.
Yeah.
So I think that is really good. The gameplay, like I said before, I like, especially with the higher player count. It's easy. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to pick a card, especially when you don't have to worry about that other deck in the 2-player game. In the 3 and 4-player game, everything flows so easily because I'm picking a card, I'm playing it, placing it down, and I'm either going to keep it or I'm going to put it in play. Here, the 2-player thing adds a little bit more fiddliness, and there's been a couple times during our gameplays where we've kind of gotten a little off.
Yeah.
And we had more cards. Somebody had more cards than somebody else. So that's just kind of a minor thing. But I mean, if Megan wants to play this, I'll sit down and I'll play a 2-player. But I would much prefer to play this at 3 and 4-player count. The box insert, it's okay. There's nothing special about it. The art on the box, I think, is nice and goes along with the game as well. And Megan's showing off the insert there.
Pretty basic.
Yeah. And then the score pad, there's an ample supply, and this is double-sided. It actually took me like 3 or 4 games in before I realized that the score pads were double-sided there.
Because most aren't, so it's not something we would have thought of. That's nice. Save the trees.
Yeah, and while this isn't really a scary game,
It's got monsters.
it does have monsters in it, and that's why we're featuring it this time of year. We always feature like monster types of games.
Yep.
Some
of them are a little creepy. Those Dreamland ones are a little. Ooh.
Yeah, and there are some creepy cards in there. So if you are playing this with younger children, some of the images may be a little bit disturbing. I think all of the artists in the game were also artists for Magic the Gathering.
Nice.
So if you're familiar with that, which I'm not,
No.
but you might recognize certain styles or so forth. So I think that'll about wrap it up. That is Carnival of Monsters from Amigo. If you like drafting games, I think you're really going to like this, especially if you're playing, like you said, with non-gamers or people that are just kind of getting into it. This is definitely a gateway game, and I think they'll like it. So we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.
If you would like to support us, you can visit patreon.com/dadvdaughter.
Like and follow us on Facebook to stay current on our show schedule, sneak peeks at future shows, and to interact with us.